Welcome to the history of South Vietnam. A land scarred and a spirit unbroken.
The Mekong Delta, a tapestry of emerald rice paddies and winding waterways, whispers tales of a resilient past. This is South Vietnam, a land etched with the indelible marks of history. From the ancient kingdoms that rose and fell to the tumultuous years of the Vietnam War, South Vietnam's story is one of survival and an enduring spirit. The echoes of ancient empires resonate in the ruins of my son, a testament to the architectural prowess of the Champa Kingdom. Join us as we journey through time, exploring the captivating and often heart-wrenching story of South Vietnam. The Mekong Delta, a fertile expanse nourished by the lifeblood of Southeast Asia, cradled the earliest traces of human civilization in South Vietnam. Archaeological evidence whispers of communities thriving on the delta's bounty as early as the first millennium BC. These early inhabitants, skilled in agriculture and fishing, established the foundations for a society deeply connected to the land. The Mekong River facilitated cultural exchange, shaping the beliefs and practices of the nascent communities. Life in the Mekong Delta was a delicate dance with nature, fostering a deep respect for the environment. The annual floods replenished the soil, ensuring agricultural abundance. Hinduism and Buddhism, carried on the winds of trade, took root in the fertile ground of the Mekong Delta. As centuries passed, the fertile plains of South Vietnam witnessed the rise of powerful empires. The kingdom of Funan, deeply influenced by Indian culture, flourished in the Mekong Delta, establishing a sophisticated system of governance and trade. Among these were the Champa, a seafaring people who established a powerful kingdom along the coastal regions of what is now central and southern Vietnam. Skilled navigators and traders, the Champa controlled the vital maritime trade routes connecting Southeast Asia with China and India. Further north, the Khmer Empire, centered in present-day Cambodia, extended its influence over parts of South Vietnam. The Khmer's sophisticated irrigation systems and administrative structures influenced the development of the Mekong Delta, leaving an indelible mark on the region's agricultural practices and social organization. This rich cultural heritage laid the foundation for the vibrant and diverse society that characterizes South Vietnam today. The arrival of the Vietnamese people in the Mekong Delta marked a turning point in the region's history. Migrating southwards from their heartland in the Red River Delta, the Vietnamese brought with them their distinct language, culture, and social structures. Their interactions with the indigenous Cham and Khmer populations resulted in both conflict and cultural exchange. The Vietnamese, skilled rice cultivators, transformed the Mekong Delta into a breadbasket. The Nguyen lords, emerging as a powerful force in the 16th century, consolidated their control over much of South Vietnam. The arrival of the French in the mid-19th century marked a tumultuous chapter in South Vietnam's history. Driven by colonial ambitions, the French established control over Vietnam, incorporating it into their Indo-Chinese empire. They viewed Vietnam as a source of raw materials and a market for their goods. The French transformed the Vietnamese economy to serve their interests. This fueled resistance movements against French rule. The seeds of discontent would eventually blossom into a struggle for independence. The 20th century witnessed the rise of Vietnamese nationalism, fueled by resentment against French colonial rule and inspired by global movements for self-determination. The Indochina Wars, a series of bloody conflicts that engulfed Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, became a battleground for Vietnamese independence. Ho Chi Minh, a charismatic leader who had spent years abroad studying revolutionary tactics, emerged as a leading figure in the fight against French colonialism. His Viet Minh forces, employing guerrilla warfare tactics, inflicted heavy casualties on the French, gradually turning the tide of the war in their favor. The pivotal Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954, a crushing defeat for the French, forced France to the negotiating table and led to their withdrawal from Vietnam. The Geneva Accords of 1954 temporarily divided the country along the 17th parallel, with Ho Chi Minh's communist forces controlling the north and a US-supported non-communist government in the south. This division would have far-reaching consequences, setting the stage for the Vietnam War. Like and subscribe for more historical insights. Birth of a nation. South Vietnam takes center stage. Following the Geneva Accords' aftermath, the Republic of Vietnam, commonly known as South Vietnam, was born. Ngo Dinh Diem, a staunchly anti-communist figure, assumed leadership. Backed by the United States, Diem aimed to build a nation-state resistant to communist influence. He embarked on ambitious programs to modernize South Vietnam's infrastructure and bolster its economy. However, Diem's rule was marked by authoritarian tendencies and a failure to address social and economic inequalities. The Viet Cong capitalized on these grievances, gaining support in rural areas and launching bold attacks against government targets. The United States poured in military and economic aid to bolster Diem's regime. The arrival of American military advisors marked the beginning of America's deepening involvement in Vietnam, a commitment that would escalate into a full-blown war. The Vietnam War, a nation divided. The Vietnam War, a protracted and bloody conflict, became a defining chapter in South Vietnam's history. It pitted the communist North Vietnamese army and the Viet Cong against the South Vietnamese government and its American allies. Characterized by brutal jungle warfare and heavy bombing campaigns, the war left an indelible mark on South Vietnam. The Tet Offensive in 1968 marked a turning point, exposing the vulnerabilities of the American position. It led to a gradual withdrawal of American troops and a shift towards Vietnamization, strengthening the South Vietnamese army. Legacy of a Lost Nation. The echoes of South Vietnam. The Paris Peace Accords, signed in 1973, marked the official end of America's involvement in the Vietnam War. However, the agreement failed to bring peace to South Vietnam. The North Vietnamese launched a massive offensive in 1975, quickly overrunning the South Vietnamese army. On April 30, 1975, Communist forces captured Saigon, ending the Vietnam War and reuniting the country under Communist rule. The fall of Saigon marked the end of South Vietnam as a nation-state. The Communist victory led to a mass exodus of South Vietnamese, many of whom feared persecution under the new regime. Boat people risked their lives on perilous journeys across the South China Sea, seeking refuge in countries like the United States, Australia, and Canada. The Vietnamese diaspora carried with them the memories of a lost nation and the enduring legacy of South Vietnamese culture. The reunification of Vietnam under communist rule brought about sweeping changes. The communist government implemented policies aimed at collectivizing agriculture, nationalizing industries, and suppressing dissent. The country faced economic hardship and international isolation in the years following the war. The legacy of the Vietnam War continues to cast a long shadow on Vietnam, a reminder of a painful and divisive chapter in the nation's history. A journey through time unveiling South Vietnam's story. South Vietnam's journey through time is a testament to the enduring human spirit, its capacity for resilience, adaptation, and ultimately, remembrance. From the ancient civilizations that flourished in the Mekong Delta to the tumultuous years of war and division, South Vietnam's story is etched in the land and its people. Today, while South Vietnam no longer exists as a separate entity, its spirit lives on in the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese people, both in Vietnam and across the diaspora. The story of South Vietnam is a reminder of the human cost of conflict and the enduring power of hope. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for future notifications.